Hey guys, it's Lila, and I'm back with Chapter 4 of Francine Poulette Meets the Ghost Raccoon. So when we left off, Francine was at Mrs. Bisinger's house investigating the raccoon, and the raccoon was running at Francine, and I'm going to read the last two lines of Chapter 3. And then Animal Control Officer Francine Poulette hit the ground. Everything went dark. Let's begin Chapter 4. Francine Poulette woke up in a hospital bed. Her left leg was in a cast, and her right arm was in a cast. Her neck was in a brace. Her head hurt. "I am solid as a refrigerator," said Francine out loud. These words didn't sound very believable. "I am Animal Control Officer Francine Poulette," said Francine. These words didn't sound very believable either. She sniffed. She smelled cigar smoke. "Over here, Franny," she heard someone say. Francine turned her head very, very slowly and saw that her father was standing beside her bed. "Pop?" she said. "The one and only," said Clement Poulette. "Aren't you dead?" said Francine. "Absolutely," said her father. "Oh," said Francine. Clement Poulette puffed on his cigar. He blew the smoke into the air above Francine's bed. "What were you doing up there, Franny?" he said. "Up where?" said Francine. "Up on the roof," said Clement Poulette. "I was trying to catch that raccoon," said Francine. "You panicked, though, didn't you?" said her father. "I thought that raccoon knew my name. I thought that maybe the raccoon was a ghost." "Puh," said Clement Poulette. "That raccoon was nothing but a screamer. There aren't ghost raccoons, Franny. You know that." Francine nodded, even though it hurt her head to nod. She knew that there were no ghost raccoons. Of course she knew that. "Also," said Clement Poulette, "Poulettes do not panic, even in the face of a screaming raccoon." Francine nodded. She knew that too. "It'll be okay, Franny," said Clement Poulette. "Will it?" she said. She felt a single tear roll out of her left eye and down her cheek. Francine missed her father telling her that everything was going to be okay. A tear rolled out of her right eye, and then tears fell from both eyes. Francine gave herself over to crying. After a while, she fell asleep. When she woke up, her father was gone, and Mrs. Bissinger was sitting in a chair beside her bed. She was wearing all her jewelry, and she was holding a copy of the Gizzard Gazette. The front page headline read, "Local Animal Control Officer Takes a Tumble in Great Raccoon Caper." Below the headline, there was a picture of Francine Poulette taken at the previous year's awards banquet. She was holding a trophy, number 47, and smiling a very large smile. Underneath the picture were the words, "Raccoon still at large. Animal Control Officer Poulette recuperating at the Gizzard Regional Hospital." "They call that a tumble," said Francine. "I fell 3 stories. "Oh, good," said Miss Bissinger. "You're awake. Shall I read you the entire article?" "No," said Francine. Her left foot, the one in the cast, itched. "Can you itch my left foot?" she said to Mrs. Bissinger. Mrs. Bissinger put down the paper and stood up and gave Francine's foot a tentative little tap. "How's that?" she said. "That didn't help at all," said Francine. "Oh, well," said Miss Bissinger, "I've never been much good at scratching people's feet." She picked up the paper and sat back down. "It says here that your father was an animal control officer," said Miss Bissinger from behind the paper. "That's true," said Francine. "It says here," said Miss Bissinger, "that you are the most decorated animal control officer in the history of Gisford." "That's true, too," said Francine. Mrs. Bissinger lowered the paper. She looked Francine in the eye. She said, "Yet you failed to capture my raccoon." "Yes," said Francine. "I failed. I panicked." She turned her head and looked outside the window. It was dark outside. Francine could see the lights of Gisford winking and blinking. mocking her. Well, said Miss Bissinger, your leg will heal and your arm will heal, and you will exit the hospital and you will continue into the world. You will find a way to continue in spite of your failure, I suppose. And so on. No, said Francine. Beg pardon? Said Miss Bissinger. No, said Francine. There will be no and so on. I quit. What? Said Miss Bissinger. I quit, said Francine. I am no longer Animal Control Officer Francine Poulette.